was greeted by the fresh, misty air so clean that I felt my lungs were being cleaned every time I took a breath. I peered around to find the source of the loudspeaker. I soon then realized that the sound was coming from everywhere. The Ernest forest, I muttered to myself. How the hell do I find myself in such a shitty situation? I took some time to note my surroundings. I was in a jungle-like biome, with no sign of any human life near me. Impossible tall trees with long branches willowed in the wind. I turned around to see that the door I had walked through was gone. How could I have missed that? I thought to myself. Before I could complete any further exploring, that some blasting noise came from all around me.
Welcome to your first challenge. Before you start, right in front of you is the object you chose, a flashlight. Here is your challenge. You are tasked to find the item in this room that does not fit and deliver it to the drop box placed below you. If you take more than a day's time, you may encounter the Broken Hill Clan. It's currently 5 p.m. Good luck.
When I looked down at the Dropbox, I nearly hurt myself for choosing the meal over the paperclip. Right next to where I put in the item that did not fit was a lock, one that could easily be picked. After a while of anger-fueled regret, I grabbed my items and decided to walk towards the sunset. After I presumed to be 5 minutes, I crossed a stream. The moist and hot air was taking up my energy, so I stopped, cupped my hands, and drank the water from the stream. Vinegar. My throat instantly burned, and I was thrown aback. How the hell did you get a stream full of vinegar? For the preceding hour, my throat was dry, sore, and constantly in pain. Once I was able to take my mind off of it, I noticed that the sun was setting. For the first time in this hellish nightmare, I was proud of myself for choosing a flashlight. The walk through the forest was peaceful until all the surrounding ambience was silent. I stopped my footsteps, observing my surroundings again. The sound of crickets went from something that I thought was annoying to a noise I was begging to hear. Then I saw it and my jaw dropped. How could this be possible? Perched 10 feet from me was a stuffed animal, but it wasn't just some old plush that struck me in awe. This was my sister's favorite animal. As soon as I started to walk towards the plush to retrieve it, I heard a rush of footsteps behind me. I turned around to see a large shovel hit me from square in the face. Everything went black. When I woke up, I couldn't move. It took me some time to reach my senses, but I realized both my arms and legs were tied up tightly with rope. My mouth was in a gag. I considered screaming, but no one was there to hear me, other than the natives, and I knew they wouldn't tolerate it. I saw the night sky blended in with the forest, slowly moving as I was carried by the men. Then I heard that damn speaker again coming from everywhere. It was a booming voice.
Congratulations, Aaron. All you have to do is to deliver the object back to the drop site. It looks like you have met the Broken Hill Clan, and for all that I can do is wish you luck. You now have 3 days to deliver the object back to the drop box.
And with that, the voice was gone. It felt like hours had passed before we reached the camp. From what I saw, it was a gloomy place, like something straight out of a horror film. In front of me was a village. There were several posts, each decorated and crucified, with decaying bodies, who I believed were the tribesmen. When I entered the village, I was greeted with uneven rows of what I assumed were homes. Each of them were covered in vines, and they looked like tool shacks than livable spaces. Once I had a good look, I was carried into a building, much larger than the rest in size, and what I believed to be a jail cell. I was tried talking to the natives, even offering them my clothes and my flashlight for peace. However, they spoke in an unrecognizable language. Unsurprisingly, they took my flashlight from me and placed it on the table outside the cell once they realized I had one. When I looked behind me, I gagged. It was a woman gutted out with one of her fellow tribesmen, putting his raw flesh onto the stove to heat it and be eaten. I watched that woman scoop out both of his eyes. I heard the sound of flesh ripping as she cut the man into multiple pieces. She gave the larger and more important pieces, like the head, the heart, and the lungs, and the rest of the body to the group of the men who who I presumed were the head cooks in the tribe. I turned around and vomited. An hour later, I heard the sounds of a large horror ring in the center of the village. As everyone was walking out, one of the people watched over me and dropped a key right in front of me that he had in his satchel. Once they had left, I heard a loud noise, most likely informing the tribe of my arrival. I tried to reach for the key with my arm, however it was too far. On the other side of the cell, in arm's reach, was a dead tribesman's arm. What I did next was something that haunted me for this day. I grabbed the cold, stiff, lifeless arm. The smell was gut-wrenching, but I knew that was my only option to escape. I did not want to become food for these people, or whatever god they worshipped. Using the limb, I was able to reach the key and open my cell door. I remember that after my first scan, I had seen the stuffed animal sitting, teasing me in the corner. I grabbed the plush and my flashlight, and as steady as I could be, I ran out of the camp. I wish someone hadn't decided to look back. A scream echoed behind me, followed by a dozen more. Before I could think, multiple natives were grabbing their spears and other weapons of all sorts. I ran faster than I ever believed any human could possibly run. Fueled by my adrenaline and that last meal, I ran for what felt like hours. Under that forest with the moonlight was my only ally. After miles worth of running, my lungs burned. I hopped into a bush and went totally silent. With the nightmare ambience covering the sounds of my now rapid breathing, I listened for the search party as they narrowed in on my location. Had it not been for the horn in the distance, I may not have passed that room. I waited another full day, holding on to the stuffed animal as my life depended on it. And now I think back on it, my life did depend on it, keeping that stuffed animal. When the night fell, I walked in the opposite direction where I had seen the sun set. After 3 hours, guessing based on where the moon sat in the sky, I saw an opening. Fuck yeah, I thought to myself. My attempts to run towards it failed. I found myself in a light jog. I dropped the plush into a drop box, and the forest went silent.
Congratulations on your completion of the Ernest Forest. Behind you is a door that you can enter. In the room behind that door, you might find a place to rest, regain energy, and possibly receive food. Or you might find yourself in a dark room with nothing in it. You will remain on the other side of that door for 2 days, or you can go back to the button room at the cost of one of your items.
I thought to myself, the button room did have a bed and a water station, but it would be a barren of food, and I'm not sure if I will get another choice for a new item. Despite my rationale, I decided to take my chance for a nice room, and that would benefit of food of water without the cost of one of my items. I'm not sure if I'll regret this choice. As I opened the door, I walked to what it must have been a 5-star hotel room suite. Gold lined the room and bed. There was a place for snacks. They were plentiful. However, I instantly went to the bed for some sleep. When I woke up, I heard the loudspeaker.
Good choice, Aaron. You can choose to stay in your room and have the snacks provided, or you can walk out of your door to leave for breakfast.
I wish the snacks were enough for me. I wish I had already gotten full on snacks in that room, but no. As I walked through the door, the room behind me went dark. I was standing in an empty cell when I quickly realized my terrible mistake. My happiness was quickly filled with anger and regret. This was a different feeling from before, though. Before, I was able to get out of the forest. This time, there was no way out of this room unless the loudspeaker let me out. I couldn't tell you how long I waited in that hell. Without a window or light, there was no way to tell how much time had passed since my last choice. I just sat on the ground gazing off into a boundless black abyss. With my previous actions to reflect on, I remembered I was carried into a tribe's camp, and the look the leader gave me, it wasn't a look of astonishment, as if everything much further developed than them. No, it was the look of a crazy man, a man who enjoyed torture and death. That look is, and somehow has been engraved in my mind till this day, something worse than my worst nightmares. The Ernest Forest room might not have been able to physically hurt me, but it has left deep mental scars for the rest of my life. The loudspeaker went on after what seemed an impossibly long time.
Here is your next choice. You have 2 choices. After that, a warm meal will be provided for you.
The room lit up, and my eyes burned, as they had gotten into complete darkness.
If you click the green button, you will receive a bed to sleep on for the next day, as well as lighting, and your choice of movie for the next day. If you choose the blue button, you will receive a helmet and a suit.
After the loudspeaker said that, my choice went to irrelevancy. Just like they had in the button room, 2 buttons, one green and one other, blue, lit up. I looked up at the buttons in confusion and I thought to myself, how can a helmet and suit help me? And I was thinking about that, I remembered the paperclip. I chose the helmet and suit hoping that it wasn't just some sort of con to get me to choosing out the relax package. The loudspeaker came on to say,
Thank you for choosing. Your dinner tonight will be steak and potatoes, with green beans on the side, and your choice for a drink.
After my steak dinner, yes, it was amazing. The door unlocked, and I noticed gas coming out of it, as if it were pressurizing, and I slowly started flowing. The loudspeaker turned on once again.
Welcome to your next room, Aaron. More instructions will follow once you cross the door.